Welcome back to another Division 2 video, guys. Now TU9 is officially live, and with it came some changes, some good, some not so good. I'm not going to get into the specifics. It's not the point of today's video. But I think one thing we can all agree on is the change in being able to reconfigure exotics is definitely a welcoming change. I think we would all agree on that one. Now, this is a DPS crit build, low armor, of course. Probably best to play in a group because of the low survivability rate of the armor that we are using. It's not to say that you can't run this solo in a DZ. You may probably just have to change a few things, maybe run companion on the backpack so you have that damage boost constantly, but it's still a good build. It still hits hard, and it can definitely still take down those tanky True Patriot builds with the pesky pestilence. So I'm gonna break it down as quickly as possible, like always. I don't have any actual PvP footage, but I did go into the DZ with my buddy, and we sort of tried to get an idea of how hard this build hits. Basically, we just kind of face tanked each other. I know in the true world of PvP, it doesn't really mean too much, because we all know that in the Dark Zone, you're not standing next to your opponent and just face tanking each other. You're moving around, you're equipping heals, you're launching skills. But this was more of a demonstration. I just wanted to see exactly how much damage this build does, and if it could pretty much put down a tanky build. So starting from the top, we are running with 719,000 armor, 276 health. The specialization that we are using is sharpshooter, and it's very simple. As you all know, I play on console, and console players don't have the same luxury of having precise aim like players in PC. So the sharpshooter provides you with extra stability, recoil, and acquisition of enemies, which is very helpful with the Eagle Bearer, because again, the Eagle Bearer is not as manageable as other weapons. Not to say it's unmanageable, but definitely it has a little bit of recoil to it. So being able to get that 15% recoil from the sharpshooter really helps, because we are aiming for the head with the Eagle Bearer, because it does so much damage, and its accuracy is actually really good. So being able to focus fire on somebody and landing those headshots, you will do a ton of damage. It also has a pretty good med kit. Essentially, you get the 100% recovery, but at the same time it removes whichever status effect you may have on at that moment, whether it's bleed, fire, etc. And it also increases your immunity to these effects for an additional 20 seconds. So we all know there's a lot of players out there with the exotic holster just burning shit down. So being able to pop a med kit, getting that heal, and removing that status effect and increasing it by 20 seconds is actually quite good. So again, Eagle Bearer. Total damage is 108.9k damage. It can certainly be better. 750 RPM, 60 round mag, 12% assault rifle damage, 19.5% health damage, and 10% headshot damage. This was my first reconfiguration of the Eagle Bearer. I wouldn't say it's great, but I wouldn't say it's terrible either. It's somewhere in the middle. It can definitely be improved. If we quickly go over the talent of the Eagle Bearer, we have the Eagle Strike. Accuracy increases as you continuously fire up to plus 30%. Too bad this got nerfed pretty bad. Headshot kills grant the tenacity buff for 15 seconds. The strength of the tenacity is increased by 1% for body shots and 5% for headshots. So again, you want to be aiming for the head as much as you can. Now the tenacity is 40 to 80% of the damage taken is delayed until the buff expires. So pretty much when you're face tanking somebody, you're not taking that damage in at that moment. You're not feeling the effect of that damage at that moment. All of the total delayed damage is reduced for each enemy killed while the buff is active up to 100% with 3 kills. I would probably feel more comfortable with this in missions in PvE, where you can quickly kill a couple of random NPCs to reduce the damage, the damage delayed, because depending on how many guys or players are shooting at you, the damage taken can be quite a bit if you haven't really healed yourself at the end. Anyways, as for our secondary weapon, again, I mean, really, it's just best in slot here, the rifle for now. We're not really making use of it because the Eagle Bearer pretty much works alone in this build. Same thing with our sidearm. So, if we get into the individual gear pieces, again, guys, I don't post builds that have a title that says this is the best build, or this is #1, or this is the meta. No. I upload videos of builds that I put together that I see fit to my playstyle. They certainly aren't the best, they certainly aren't the worst, but this is my vision, and I upload these videos so that it gives you some type of vision and some type of inspiration to be able to give you some type of pathway to build your own builds. So in my opinion, the exotic mask, the Coyote'sMask, is still best in slot here. It just has way too much crit damage, crit chance to give up. Moving on to our chest, we're running a Fenris chest for the 10% assault rifle damage, of course. We want all reds across the table. You have two options here as far as the talent is concerned. Depending on your comfort, you could run Unbreakable to give you that extra little bit of survivability, or you can put on a damage talent like Spotter to give you more weapon damage. It really comes down to what makes you more comfortable. In my case, I went with Spotter because I will be using the Banshee Pulse for this one, and I'll explain why in just a minute. Then we move on to the holster. We're running a Cheska holster because, again, we're trying to stack as much crit chance and crit damage as possible. Red all across the board as well. Now, let's get into some of the bad that came from this TU9 patch. A lot of the high-end name pieces got just a bit of a nerf. So with that being said, I know a lot of guys out there are pretty much saying that these pieces are not viable anymore. I still feel that they are, and I still feel that while they're not nearly as potent as they were previous TU9, I still think that they hold their own. So for knee pads, we are running with the Fox's Prayer, 15% weapon damage, plus 8% damage to targets out of cover, and plus 10% critical hit damage. On the gloves, we are running the Contractor's Gloves, 15% weapon damage, plus 8% damage to armor, plus 10.1% critical hit damage. And on the chest, we're running one piece of Providence. We are actually running the named backpack, the Gift, which gives us perfect vigilance, increases total weapon damage by 25%. Taking damage disables this buff for 3 seconds. This can be a very, very strong talent, but of course it's very situational because you essentially have to land the first shot. Now, because this is the perfect version, it does delay the disabling of the buff from 4 to 3 seconds. So it does make a little bit of a difference. What I find is if you are able to get the upper hand on the enemy, land the first strike, they're pretty much not going to recover afterwards because you're just dealing way too much damage with Spotter and Vigilance. Now, our skills. I mentioned earlier we are running the Banshee Plus, Banshee Pulse. The Jammer Pulse, which pulses outwards, overloading and disabling hostile electronics. This is actually quite useful because it pretty much, if another player is also using a pulse, it basically disables it, and it gives you the upper hand because for a few seconds they have that EMP effect that they cannot use any of their skills. So this applies to all the skills that they can project to you, like a drone and things like that. So definitely very, very useful. You want to time it just right though, and be able to engage the enemy before, almost anticipating the moment that they're going to pop a skill or throw a skill at you, and then you want to jam them with your pulse, and then you go in for the kill. For our second skill, we are running the Defender Drone, and it's simply to give us a little bit more survivability because we are running such low armor. So being able to deflect a few of the incoming barrage of bullets never really hurts. Moving on to the stats quickly. Weapon damage 108, PvP weapon damage 59, 54 crit chance, 105 crit damage, 81 headshot damage. Let's see what else is worth mentioning. 90% all weapon damage bonus, 37% assault rifle damage bonus. And that is pretty much the build, guys. Now I will leave you with the footage that I mentioned earlier, where it's me and my buddy just kind of face tanking each other. Again, this was just to display what type of raw damage this build puts out. At the end of the day, how you play, how you dodge and equip your skills, and pretty much all that other good stuff, it really comes down to your playability, how you survive. Anyhow, again, thank you for taking the time. Make sure you hit that like button. If you're new, I welcome you. I just want to say thanks to all my subs, all my recent subs. Thank you for supporting the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well so you are notified every time I upload a video, and I will catch you on the next one. Cheers, guys. Voy a hacer de nuevo. Ok, te pulso. Okay. 1, 2.
Uf.
Ya. Ahora te voy a pulsar y después contamos 1, 2, 3 y empezamos a disparar.
Espérate, me convierto.
Ok.
Ya.
Ok, aquí ven el pulso. Ok, listo. 1, 2, 3. Uf, pero vi...
Rogue hive.
Ok.
Nearby
Lleva,
agent has gone rogue.
aquí va el pulso. Después vamos a probar sin el pulso. Una,
Ajá.
2, 3. Pero ni
Rogue
disparaste.
hive detected.
No alcance. Con el pulso sí, no. Vamos a ver.
Yo creo que
Espérate.
el pulso es el secreto, hermano.
Es el secreto ahí. Dale otra vez, cúrate.
Ok. Entonces, aquí ven el pulso.
Ajá.
Ahora, 1, 2, 3.
Rogue agent neutralized.
Él va a venir a coger las cosas.
No, pero aquí lo tengo en la mira, porque está
Ah,
agachado.
dale entonces.
Nearby agent.
Ya cae.
Rogue agent
Ah.
nearby.
Oh, no, allá está. Hagámonos.
Espérate.
Uf,
Extraction
Fue
has been
nombrado.